have Alex Wiley with Cherry Bekaert, Senior Manager with Risk and Accounting Advisory. Also here today, Susan Edwards, Manager with Risk and Accounting Advisory at Cherry Bekaert. And we are thrilled to have Michelle Quartel, Partner and Solution Consultant with BlackLine. Please, Alex, take it away.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We have a pretty big crowd and a lot we want to get through today. Obviously, first and foremost, our primary concern is to address all the reasons why you guys are here and any questions you have. But just turning toward our learning objectives and agenda, kind of a template of what we want to go over and accomplish today. Obviously, the overview, who we are at Cherry Bekaert, and how we can help you with your monthly and close automation using BlackLine as a cloud-based software. Kind of our experience, what makes us good at this? What are our experiences with other clients? Some of the service offerings we have, not only from a monthly and close, but other things we can do. And then give you a little background on BlackLine by the numbers. Who is BlackLine? What companies are they serving? Why is this the best product or one of the products out there that really can help you through this? Next piece we want to talk about and address is financial close process. Believe it or not, guys, we want to talk about kind of some of the manual accounting chaos that is currently going on what we call your current state. We want to talk about our approach to monthly and how we can help resolve that and using BlackLine again to help remediate some of that chaos we're going to show you. And then next one, we're going to do accounting automation. What does that mean? What does that really mean when we say automation, accounting? How do we automate things? And then obviously, last but not least, what I think we're all here for, we're going to do a day in the life of a senior accountant and using BlackLine. So let's go ahead and get started. Who are we? At Cherry Bekaert, we're a national and global reach firm with local attention. And what does that mean? We have Big Four experiences with the local firm feel. We truly live by this and feel this. We have the same resources as a Big Four. We have the same expertise as a Big Four. We have the same tools as a Big Four. But what makes us different, we give that what we call the local family feel. When you're with Cherry Bekaert, you're going to have meetings, you're going to have contact with the partners, with the senior managers, with the managers and seniors every day throughout their environment. That's what we mean by high touch client service. It's not as if you're going to see the partner once in the first beginning of the meeting and never see the partner again. You're going to have really high visibility and access to our leadership through each of the projects. We have extensive experience with the month-end close, including regulatory compliance. We have about 140 plus partners and principals serving clients across the U.S. internationally. We've been in business for 75 years, ranked as the top 25 accounting firm. And one of the things that allows us to cross borders is we're members of the Lineal Global, which is the second largest accounting and consulting association in the world, representing over 250 fellow firms in 88 countries with revenues over 4.18 billion. Our experiences, here's our experiences. We have a dedicated team of BlackLine certified CPAs. And what does that truly mean? We have resources within Cherry Bekaert who spend countless hours going through training to really understand not only the month-end process best practices, but how the BlackLine software solution really fits into our clients to really help them become integrated into a more automated process. Obviously, we have expertise in the month-end close and record to report optimization process. We have a digital controllership experiences, including customized key performance indicators and digital dashboards. The one thing that we're actually moving to is we all know what these KPIs stand for. We all know those, what I call those old historical KPIs. We have a group within our accounting advisory group that are really moving to more standardized, more up-to-date KPIs to really manage the business. And then last but not least, we have resources and colleagues who are focused on industry knowledge, such as financial service, healthcare and life science, industrial manufacturing, government sectors, real estate and construction, professional service, technologies, and utilities. Next below, here's some of the software alliances that we partner with to help our clients through some of the things here. We partner with BlackLine, LeaseQuery, and LeaseTrunch. Those three I'm very familiar with. We also partner with Tableau, Sage Intacct, Microsoft partners. As you can see, we're always partnering with technologies to really help provide a better solution to our clients. Next, here we have accounting advisory and services. I want to spend a time just kind of walk through how we look at how we break out and look at our particular structure, our accounting advisory service line. We have what we call the technical accounting subdomain. Within technical accounting, some of the things we're assisting clients with right now is IPO assistance. This including SPACs and IPOs, event-driven transactions, be it a business combination, maybe there's a debt to equity, maybe there's a stock comp. We're helping clients with technical event-driven transactions. Obviously, our core financial reporting and financial statement conversions. That's that's IFRS to GAAP, cash to GAAP, or vice versa. Audit readiness. We have the clients through audit readiness. Maybe you've gone through a couple audits or you're getting ready for your first year audits. You want to have a firm in there really to help mitigate and minimize what I call are those misstatements. We're helping clients do that. SEC matters. Again, you're a publicly traded company. Maybe there's SEC matters that you're trying to address or looking forward to addressing. We're helping clients with as well. And then obviously business combinations. What I like to call the 3-numbered codifications, 805 business combinations, 842, which we all know is kind of going on currently through the lease recognition, 470, which is my debt to equity financing. We also help clients develop out their accounting policy development. And then last but not least, from the technical accounting and private equity and post combination. This is not an inclusive list. This is just a list of kind of some of the services we're doing every day for our clients on technical accounting. Moving to projects and solutions, this is more about projects and solution driven based group here. They're very tactical accounting and audit assistance, including lease accounting. We can help on the sales side, transaction preparation and support with the deal management. Here we help them with financial statement and ESG reporting. Obviously, ESG being one of the new reporting guidelines we're helping clients through. Post-acquisition integration. How do we integrate systems post-business combination? We can be the project management in that standpoint. FP&A, strategic project support, helping clients through the FP&A, helping clients through that deal process. Private equity post-combination services. We spend a lot of time helping private equity groups with their post-combination opening balance sheet services. Accounting technology support, ERP and other expertise. What this is really trying to say is we can help clients that are going through evaluating, am I ready for a system change? What type ERP system change should I be looking to? And what are the functionalities and BRD requirements I need to be looking for? And obviously, one of the biggest things here that we're all going through right now is the Great Resignation. We're helping clients through resource augmentation solutions. We have both a CFO services and a controllership service office where we can provide an interim solution to clients when they're maybe having staffing needs issues. Last but not least is our international audit leadership. We do have, again, because of our membership with the lineal member firms, we do have the ability to be project managers, assist in international audits, and help lead that way from local and statutory audits in various territories. Last but not least, from accounting advisory services, we have what we call our accounting transformation group. Within the accounting and transformation group, we help with strategy and organizational design, process optimization. Maybe I have a flow of transactions that I want to more optimize, or I want to have documents. We can really help with that. The digital controllership, this is really where we're moving to a more automated KPI ERP system. Again, as we talked about earlier, we're helping develop those KPIs and benchmarks. What should I be using as a key performance indicator? What benchmarks should I be using for my company, based on my industries, based on best practices? Last but not least, outsourcing, offshore centralization readiness. Maybe I have a shared service center. Maybe I'm having certain parts of my flow of transactions done offshore. How do I centralize all their flow of information? How do I centralize their process? We can help with that as well. And then last but not least is our digital asset transformation, ESG transformation. BlackLine by the numbers. BlackLine has over 3,600 customers. It is a cloud-based accounting platform. It's leading practices for fast results. It is ISO IAC certified. BlackLine is a publicly traded company, stock ticker symbol BL. 50 million in research and development year over year. So you can see there, they really are invested in turning over a product with R&D that really can help automate the month-end close process. There are over 300,000 users right now as we speak in the BlackLine platform. The ROI associated with this platform is 2.77. And let me explain kind of how, let me put that in simple terms for you guys. What that means, for every dollar you spend on the BlackLine product, you get a return of 2.77. In other words, you get, this is a full FTE cost. Again, they are Fortune 500, 50% of Fortune 500 companies use BlackLine. And last but not least, the various locations of clients and where BlackLine is located. Next slide. Here's some of the customers of all sizes across all industries. Within the consumer retail, you'll see there's Coca-Cola, Domino's, Hershey's. Within technology, there's a big space in GoDaddy, Zendesk. Within industrial and energy, with the Dow, World Fuel. Healthcare, you'll see DaVita and so forth. Services, you see Sirius XM and Hyatt. And then last but not least, financial services. They have work with Western Union, NASDAQ. This is not a comprehensive list of the clients, but this is some of the main clients within these industries here. Now let's get to the financial close and management process. Believe it or not, guys, most people, you may not realize, but when you think about your manual accounting, is chaos. And I'm gonna walk you through this slide, but as we walk you through, you'll notice this is probably what each of us are going through on a month-end basis when we're talking about people, who's all involved in the finance and accounting a month-end. And this is, for typical clients, this is the craziness or the chaoticness that's going on every month. From people standpoint, the finance department is involved, the controller, your accounting manager, the CFO, how are they communicating? How do they to talk to each other? From a technology standpoint, when it comes to month-end close, maybe you have multiple ERP systems that do not talk to each other. Maybe you have a manual close checklist. Maybe you're using, for certain systems or certain reconciliations, you use a Microsoft Excel. For others, you're using OneDrive or some other system. You have an accounts payable system. You have a database. You have different types of systems that maybe do not connect or talk to each other. For processes, how are we closing our processes? How do we close our procure to pay process? Our order to cash? What are our manual workflows? What is our Excel-based reconciliation process? What is our review process? Once we got everything done in the manual accounting system, how do we go about reviewing everything and alerting the next level of reviewer to know the information is ready? From regulations, maybe we're dealing with GASB, we're dealing with FASB, maybe we're a SOX compliance. Maybe there's also IFRS considerations. And then the biggest is communication. How do we communicate? Currently right now, maybe it's face-to-face, maybe we have a OneDrive, or maybe we communicate the month-end process to each other through email or Slack. Maybe we're using phone calls. The biggest thing you'll see here is that right now, there really is no conciseness and automation to this process. And believe it or not, most of us on this call are going through each of these items ourselves. Last but not least is reporting. What are my reporting requirements? Who's preparing the balance sheet? Who's reviewing the balance sheet? How do I know the information within the balance sheet has been reviewed at the reconciliation level? Where's the P&L data? How does that flow into the balance sheet? What about my cash flows? This right now is what I like to call our current state and environment for most of us and most of our clients that we deal with when it comes to the month-end process. Next slide, please. One thing I would notice is how the pandemic has really forced us to really learn how to operate in a more remote environment. It's actually for the good. You'll see here that pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Before the pandemic, maybe there was poor collaborations. If you recall, prior to us going to the pandemic, we were always in the office with each other. So maybe doing month-end close, we're in the same cubicles on the same floor. So maybe it's over-the-shoulder communication in the office. Maybe it's in-office exchange of information and reports via email or maybe a shared file. Before the pandemic, there was lack of automation. Obviously, because we're in the same office, on the same floor, we never had a need for understanding a more remote environment. So how do you avoid errors in the process of completion? Information is key to the month-end close. Manual changes, if there's any changes that comes about subsequent to the flow of transaction moving to the next stage, how do I communicate that change, and how do I make sure it's incorporated prior to getting to my financial month end close? Before the pandemic, there was a lot of disconnected data. There was missing or incorrect poor data is a familiar issue we identify with most organizations out there. Last but not least, disparate systems and processes. It was not uncommon for team members to be using different technologies and processes. And what I mean by that is maybe one department, maybe one office is using one system to close the books or close cash or close certain balance sheet items, whereas another office, another department was using a different process. What has the pandemic forced us to do? What's changing? One of the biggest things here is more collaborative technology and processes that facilitates communication. Now that we're more in a remote environment, we're using Microsoft Teams, we're using Slack, we're using Jira. What we found out is we're using more communication that can document and keep track of the way we communicate as a team, rather than, hey, I'm done, let me look over the shoulder, look over the cubicle. Companies are investing in and focusing on technology to automate repetitive, overly manual processes, i.e. such as BlackLine. Companies are investing into AI. Companies are investing into cloud-based ERP systems, because the more remote we are, we still need to use a system that talks and communicates together. Companies are investing in more remote processes and really building out remote processes. And what is this doing? This is enabling strategy to allow multiple users to access and maintain control of financial close data. Because we're in secluded area and diverse areas of the business, and people still need to have access to the same communication, we need to have remote processes where people can log in and use and evaluate the same data concurrently. Obviously, the biggest thing here we talked about, the Great Resignation. The Great Resignation has really pushed organizations to evaluate outsourcing the month-end close management source advisory firms. Believe it or not, we have a lot of clients who have really gone to the far extreme and said, our month-end process, we do better outsourcing to an accounting firm or advisory firm and having those guys do our month-end close than us, because we're so remote and we're so far apart. And then common month-end close technology. Again, BlackLine, you'll notice, is a common month-end process technology everyone is using. Establishing a new normal. What I think that means, and what I like to get a quick takeaway from that, is now that we're in more of a remote environment, it's really having more collaborative technology, more remote processes to communicate with each other. This is Cherry. This is our approach to month-end close. This is not a this is not a one shop fits all. This is more best practices of what we've found out dealing with our clients as it relates to month-end close. Involvement early in the process of all key stakeholders. We want to make sure all the key individuals who are involved that has a stake in the process are communicated to early, are involved early. Their decision, their thought process is taken into consideration. Communication of deadlines via the month-end close calendar. This here is key. You may have a calendar. One thing I really want to stress on this particular point is being flexible with that calendar. Make sure that calendar is in a location that everyone can see, making sure that all the changes that are being made to that calendar are being updated real time, and those real-time changes are communicated out to all the stakeholders. Identification of the process and data owners involved in preparing the data. We want to make sure if there's someone that's involved in the data processing that's not typically involved in the month end, we want to talk to them early in the process. We want to make sure that they understand what's required for them a month end. They have their day-to-day duties that they're coming to do. And so we want to ensure that when month end comes around, there's no disruption in their day-to-day duties. We want to review and evaluate the data needed to close the books, preparing the reporting documents prior to month end. We don't want to wait to month end to go through and review the data. At Cherry Bekaert, one of the things we really do is put into place a process to review the flow of transactions and sign off prior to month end. We want to prepare and manage the client and provide direction early in the process prior to month end to avoid any daily business operation interruptions. Again, the one key pattern you're starting to see here, guys, is we want to be involved in the month end process prior to month end, really planning each month end as its own process. You want to prepare and manage the client and provide direction early in the process prior to more things, avoid any disruptions. We want to be very agile and have the ability to reprioritize and reassign duties. I think just based on our experiences, this one here is really key. We never, no matter how much planning we do for the month end process, we never can always plan for the surprise. If something always comes up, when something comes up, we want to be agile enough. We want to have the ability to reassign duties. Someone may, get sick. There may be a illness in the family. There's always going to be something to come up. We always want to have a backup plan or have the ability to reprioritize and reassign duties to ensure that we're meeting those monthly and deadlines. Last but not least, this is one thing we found is very helpful, is having project owners over the monthly and close process. At Cherry Bekaert, we have a solution-driven approach to our monthly and automated process. Using resources, we're drawing upon extensive knowledge of resources who've worked in public accounting, who spent the years in controllership at the controllership level in a variety of industries. We're industry-focused teams where we're designing intelligent and creative solutions to meet your traditional and non-traditional business needs. And what all that's really saying is, guys, we understand that there is no one approach that fits one company direct. We take a hands-on approach for each company. When do you call us? When do you say, hey, I think I may need Cherry Bekaert assistance. I think I may need a advisory firm to help me out. Typically when you need for a thoughtful and responsible solution for corporate accounting. If you have questions, if your books and records are ready for an upcoming audit or review. Do you have any current or financial reporting needs? Do you have any new unusual one-time projects that arise during a current transaction or new accounting principle adoption? Do you have any resource constraint issues to complete a current project? These are typical, these are typical keywords or key phrases that you're going through as management. If you're thinking about, you could use a firm like Cherry Bekaert as well as any advisory firm. Again, we like to customize our service. Again, we don't feel that there's a one size fit all, but we really like to customize our services by tailoring our best practice and combining technology and other accelerators to provide a solution to you. Brings us to our first polling questions. I will go ahead and ask the polling questions. We'll open it up for answer. First polling question is, how long is your current monthly end process? You give you about a minute to answer those questions. And while we're going through the polling questions, I do see we have some Q&A questions that I want to get through and answer while we're waiting for the polling questions. First question I see, when will the questions we need to answer CP? Obviously right now. Next question I see, does Cherry Bekaert have any advice on how a small CPA firm can improve its accounting automation? Again, we do. Like I said, it's not a one size fit all shop. It's based on, it's going to be based on the flow of transactions you provide, the volume of transactions, the number of process owners within your process. But we would love to help you with that question. That question is definitely a great question. It's a one-on-one conversation that we have all the time with our small accounting firms or our small middle market clients. All right, let's see the results of the polling question. Looks like about leading the way about 5 to 10 days. 36% of the population says it takes about 5 to 10 days to finish the close. Next answer is 10 plus days. I think for the group of 29% that answered that, I really think this is automation and really helping understand how to close down that process. This webinar will be great for you. Next, after that, 4 to 5 days, 21%. That's the typical, I would say 4 to 5 days, 4 to 7 days is really our typical, what we're seeing as best practices for close. And then last but not least, the 3 days or less. Congratulations for that group out there, the 15% of us who are at 3 days or less. Move on to the next question. Next, accounting automation and what does it mean for your business? Why is manual accounting not sustainable? First and foremost, guys, time. 69% say manual effort is the number one bottleneck in the financial close process. Just think about that. Data cannot move to the next level review, or data cannot flow. The review process cannot move until one area is being reviewed. One area has been reviewed. That review is done manual. Maybe someone has to complete a reconciliation manual. That reconciliation has to be reviewed manually. It's not until that review, the preparation and review is done until we can move on to the next level of the process. That, if you recall in our polling question, this is probably one of the biggest reasons why taking the 29% of us to close 10 plus days. What's the next reason? Risk. 55% are not completely confident that they identify financial errors before the reporting results. This here is key, guys. If there is an error within the preparation of data, more likely than not, you're not going to identify that until your control or your balance sheet analysis or your income variance analysis comes up. And even then, the error has to be material enough where it falls out of those thresholds. So how confident are you that the data that you're preparing is truly complete and accurate to less than a material misstatement? Last but not least, next to last, cost. It's 350% more FTEs or general accounting reporting at the bottom performers. What we're saying is, in order to really close your month-end process, to bring it down from 10 to 5 or 10 to 7, 7 to 4, it takes FTEs. It takes more people handling more data. And if the system or process we have in place is manual, we're just creating and adding more chaos to that process. If you recall back on our earlier slide, we talked about the ROI by $1 investing in a BlackLine solution reduces my every FTE cost by $2.77. Last but not least is morale. 34% of productivity is lost for actively disengaged employees. I think now they call this the quietly quitting group. You know, a group, maybe your employees are not as engaged, or maybe they've gotten tired of the redundant month-end process there, or they've gotten tired of the chaos and they're looking for some new one. You don't know because they're actively and quietly quitting. And how does the BlackLine accounting platform, how does it fit and how does it work and what is it going to do? You know, if you notice, if you think about it, the BlackLine fits in directly in the middle of the record to report process. If you look on our left-hand side, we probably have our ERP systems where we're recording transactions. We have spreadsheets that we're doing our reconciliations on. We have SharePoint where we're sharing data. We're sharing spreadsheets to be reviewed and improved. We have our closed calendar. We have maybe our manual workflow. We have bank data. That record is then flowing over to reports, where the reports that are coming out is financial consolidation, external and XCC reporting, internal reporting, planning and analysis, management reporting. What you're going to find when you go through the demo is you're going to see how BlackLine fits in between all that and automates everything. Within BlackLine, we're able to take our records and we're able to ensure that the balance sheets are complete and accurate. We're able to take our data and centralize and standardize the month-end close review and approval process. We're able to automate the manual processes and optimize time, reducing down on cost. And again, we're able to manage more complexities and scale for growth. We like to say BlackLine is picking up where other systems typically lead customers to work in spreadsheets. Takes us to our next polling questions. What are some of the manual accounting pain points that you guys are experiencing out there in your polling questions? Inconsistent processes, too many spreadsheets, too much manual administration, or all of the above, or pretty much I love manual work. I don't want anything to change. I don't think anyone's loved manual work. We'll give you a minute to answer the polling questions. In the meantime, we'll bring up any questions that we may have here. Sure. No questions from the group that haven't been answered. Good. A couple more seconds on the polling question. All right, let's go ahead and close the poll and see the results. Results of polling question number 2. 54% of you, which I probably expect, not only is it too many spreadsheets, too much of a manual administration process, inconsistent process. These are the leading factors we identify to clients where I was having a hard time cutting down their close process from 15 to 10, 10 to 7, 7 to 5. The next one leading is too much manual administration. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide here. Yeah. Here's some of the pain points that we're seeing here, both at the county staff level and the management level. Again, too many systems. You know, I got too many systems I got to involve in. Maybe I'm in an ERP system. I have a sub-ledger system. I have a sub-ledger to the sub-ledger system. I now have to reconcile all those systems back to my global system. Inconsistent processes. You know, maybe the flow of transactions is not the same in different departments, different warehouses, different industries. Detailed spreadsheet. You know, if I have who of us have, when we receive these large, massive Excel spreadsheets, and the first thing we look at is, oh my God, I'm not sure what to do with these, not with all these columns. Too much of a manual effort. Disengaged workers. Again, I'm quietly quitting because of all this inconsistency and chaos in the month-end process is driving me to the point where I'm not feeling good about my job. Those are some of the pain points we learned at the county staff level. Conversely, at the management level, I have limited visibility because there's so many systems. Maybe I have access denial, read-only rights. I don't have any rights to even see the system. So all I can see is the output. Lack of ownership and control of the processes because there's so many processes that are inconsistent across departments, across functions. I don't have a control of ownership of those processes. Risk of inaccuracies. The more detailed the spreadsheet are, the higher the risk is for material misstatement with inaccuracies. Poor allocation of time. You know, with all these systems, with all these spreadsheets, with everything I have to review, what is required to be reviewed to get through the month-end close process? And again, talent retention. Because my chaos, because my systems are so inconsistent, because there's so much chaos in the month-end process, I find myself turning over people in my financial reporting because of this. I'm going to turn it over to our colleague, Michelle, to go through this next slide.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, super quick, because I know that Susan will be covering a lot of this in the demo as well. But the way to think about BlackLine from an automated and unified standpoint is that it's a complementary system to any general ledger, meaning it's ERP agnostic. So by being able to consume data sources, whether they're from an internal or external source, and utilizing the solutions that are presented through rules, business logic, and the templates, from whether it be from your reconciliations, through high volume ticking and tying of transactions, from matching through the journal entry, creation and variance analytics, that workflow assignment and analysis of reports then is the result to allow for a higher level of integrity of the data on the output, along with automation to allow for your staff to really be able to concentrate on what matters rather than the lower level manual work that some systems create based off of the fact of not being able to complete on an automated basis. So that visibility becomes key, especially as Alex spoke about, when it comes to being agile during month-end close and being able to pick up for those last minute items that need to be completed. So now, Alex, I'm going to pass it back to you and we'll go forward.
Thank you, Michelle. Just continuing on that slide, modern accounting is unified. What does unify mean? It's integrated systems and data. Standardize your process. I see a question here that we're going to get to in our polling questions, but BlackLine helps you integrate your system, standardize your process, unlock global visibility. Modern accounting is automated. We reduce the busy work by automating the ordinary process. We have free accountants up to analyze the extraordinary rather than worrying about the ordinary day-to-day. Modern accounting automates focus on what matters most to the business. And then obviously the last but not least is continuous. We're executing accounting as it happens, real-time matching of transactions, real-time recording of transactions and matching against underlying support, delivering real-time information analysis, information to those charged with governance does not affect unless it's real-time relevant data. Last but not least, aligning your needs with your business. All right, we got one more polling question here, guys. We're going to get through. Let's go ahead and open it up. So I'm going to give time for the demo. But what areas of BlackLine would be most beneficial to your organization? The task areas, maybe aligning the task and putting visibility into all the tasks. Maybe it's the reconciliation, making the reconciliation process more automated, more centralized. Is it the matching? How often, how hard are we finding ourselves matching data? And then last but not least, is it the journals? Let's give a couple seconds on that, and we'll go ahead and see the results. While we're waiting, I think one of the questions I see here is, we have departments external to accounting that slows us down. How could we leverage BlackLine to help with that? And hopefully that question has been answered through some of these slides, but ultimately BlackLine serves as that cloud-based, what I call a cloud-based database that sits between your ERP system and the multiple accounting departments. It's able to interface with all those other departments, bring all the data into one space, and really align and analyze the data for you. So it really is going to do the things we're looking at here. It's going to put all the reconciliations in one place. It's going to do the matching of journal entries to the underlying support through the various departments. It's going to do the journal entries for all the departments it has. It's going to align all your tasks all in one cloud-based platform. And come to the results of the polling, please. We see the biggest question here, the biggest response. Typically what we see is we want to automate our reconciliations. We want to bring our reconciliations in-house, all into one system where everyone has visibility to prepare and review it. The second place is task. We have multiple month-end close tasks. We want to know where we're at in those processes. Are we ready to move forward? Last but not least is the matching and journals. Okay. Next slide, please. Next, we're going to turn over to the demo. I'm going to turn over to my colleague, Susan, to walk us through the demo.
All right, thanks, Alex. All right, so this is just a high-level overview of what the BlackLine platform looks like. So you can see on the left-hand side, we have the primary data sources, your ERPs, your point of sale systems, and it goes through the BlackLine hub where you have transaction matching, account reconciliation, tax management, in order to get you from the record to report process. So I'm going to switch over and do the fun stuff of the demo. All right, so hoping y'all can see my screen, we'll be good to go. So I came to BlackLine not as an implementation consultant, but as an end user. I was an accounting manager within a hospital system. And when we implemented BlackLine, it relieved pain points we didn't even know that we had. We went from a 9-day close to a 3-day close. And I'm going to walk you through BlackLine at a high level and show you some of the benefits that I was able to reap from this implementation. So what you see here is the executive dashboard. And this is completely customizable based on the data that's within your BlackLine instance. So I set this up as if I were still in my accounting manager role. What is it that I want to know during my month-end close process? And what is the benefit that BlackLine dashboard brings to my month-end close? So for example, here we have the unreconciled balances. So you can see just at your fingertips this information that is updated in real time. You can see the status of your reconciliations during your close, bifurcated into key and non-key accounts, key meaning your riskier accounts. And then one of the things we're all concerned about during close is the risk within our financial statements. So I have a client right now who they have a staff accountant who's very dutifully performing a reconciliation, and every month she's identifying a variance that needs to be adjusted. But it was never rising to the controller's attention because it was buried within her reconciliation. And within BlackLine, you can see these outstanding items by age and by risk, so by key or non-key. So that helps you eliminate some of the risk within your balance sheet by having that visibility right here on your dashboard. You can take this same information and slice it and dice it by entity. So you can see where you have the outstanding items that need to be adjusted and if you need to focus on that before you can close. We also have the status of your month-end tasks, so you can see exactly where your team is in close. And then last but not least, I really like this for the attention to balancing your workload between your staff. So you can see where any one person is during close. And once again, all of this is completely customizable. All right, so now I'm going to switch over to the preparer role. But before I do that, I'd like to point out that BlackLine is role-based. So I can be a preparer and an approver within the same instance of BlackLine. But BlackLine has built-in segregation of duties. So I'm never going to be able to prepare and approve the same record. So that's just one less thing to worry about. And then also you have the ability to give your external auditor access directly into your BlackLine instance. And we can go into more specifics about that. But for my team, we found that saved us so much time during our audit, because that always happens during a really busy time. All right, so let's flip to preparer. All right, so here we have the preparer dashboard. And we can see the benefit of this because you have your staff accountant, your senior accountant, they come in to start their day. They got a fresh cup of coffee, maybe a little hazy from the night before, but they can see exactly what they need to do. We have the reconciliations here by key and non-key accounts with the due dates. So they can click right in here and say, okay, I have these 15 key reconciliations that I need to get done, and you can get right to them from there. I'd also like to draw your attention to these 12 system certified reconciliations. So this is where we've taken advantage of some of the automation within BlackLine for these lower risk or non-key accounts where we can automatically certify them based on a set of pre-established rules. So we have the same visibility for tasks and variances. But I'm going to jump over to task progress so we can navigate that way. I really like the tasks tool within BlackLine because you're able to see anything that within your close process, any ad hoc projects that are being done, your budget, your audit, you can put those tasks right into BlackLine. So you have a consolidated, streamlined way to manage that workflow. One of the benefits that I see is not having to log into an external PBC list in order to see that. So you can put your PBC list right into BlackLine. So this user can see exactly what she needs to do as it relates to the audit. We also have a group of tasks related to month end. So really any sort of process around close, you can put it within your tasks process and assign it out and manage it in that way. So I'm going to click here and show you this task dependency tree within BlackLine. So this task is just, confirming that your balance sheet is all reconciled. And in order to do that, you need to complete these reconciliations below. I'm going to start by looking at this bank reconciliation. Now, BlackLine reconciliations have a series of prescribed templates that you can use for different things. And this is a bank account template. So I'm going to just walk you through some of the standard controls and some of the things that are specific to this reconciliation. So here we have the permanent record within the account, and this, is not very jazzy, but it comes in very handy when you have that turnover, when you have the great resignation and your institutional knowledge is walking out the door. You can have that documentation right within your reconciliations, and that's also coming in handy during your audit because your process is already defined there for you. This reconciliation uses matching. And if I can go back to my days as an accounting manager, we had 2 full-time senior accountants whose job was to reconcile cash. And they were doing a lot of manual ticking and tying every single month. And it took nearly the whole month to reconcile cash. And they had very little time to focus on the exceptions. But using the BlackLine matching tool within this reconciliation, you can bring in your bank file and you can bring in your GL file, and you can establish a set of predefined pass rules where you're matching transactions one-to-one or one-to-many in order to reconcile that bank account. And then that frees up your senior accountants, your cash accountants, to focus on these unmatched transactions, which is the real value and the real risk associated with your cash accounts. So I think that really improved morale when it came to the month-end close process for those people, because I haven't met anybody who likes individually matching transactions all day, every day. So this was a big win for our team. So because it's a bank recon, we have the place to key in our bank balance. We also have here this GL balance, which interfaces from your ERP system. And while this doesn't sound like a really big win, when you think about how much time your accounting managers are spending every single month comparing your reconciliations to your TB to make sure that the balance that's being reconciled is accurate, I mean, this is a real gimme and a huge win for time and time management. You can add comments within the reconciliation, so that saves you an extra email outside of it. If you want to send an email to somebody, you can tag them in BlackLine, just like a social media tag, and it'll send them an email of things to update. You can add documents right in there, so you don't have to worry about storing the documents externally. And then there are these certifications that you can click related to this account in order to and these are, you can identify these for any specific account or what you want your accountants to certify when they're completing a reconciliation. And then you would be able to certify. So this account still has a variance on it. You can go up and view the variances. All right. So here we can see like just the trend of the variances month over month and the balances in this account month over month. So we have that risk analysis there as well. All right, so I'm going to go back to the task dependency structure. I think I have time to show you one more reconciliation template. All right, so like I said, there are multiple templates that help you standardize and automate your reconciliations within BlackLine. And one that I really like is the amortizable template, which we would use for prepaids. Prepaids seem like a pretty straightforward thing, but it seems to be an area where a lot of organizations have errors because the spreadsheets get so large and complicated. So instead of doing that work in spreadsheets, you're able to enter your items directly into BlackLine, put that invoice in there, and then BlackLine will calculate a roll forward for you. So you can see what the prepaid balance is on any given month for any particular prepaid. You can also flip over and see the amortizable expense related to those prepaids. So in a future state, think about using that to populate your journal entries, or even using that for an automated journal entry, which is something that's available within BlackLine. And so again, we just have these trends here for the balances in this account, so you can see this at a summarized level. All right, so I'm going to get out of the reconciliations, I'm going to get out of the tasks, and I'm going to take you back one more area. We're going to look at reporting. So just like, but I'm going to switch back to the executive, a little more visibility there. So just like the dashboard, where every bit of data is reportable within BlackLine, you're able to create reports based on your data on a monthly basis. So BlackLine has over 60 canned reports that you can use on any given month, but you can also customize and schedule reports based on your individual needs. So for example, here I have an audit PBC status, so I can click in and see where my team is with my audit items. And I also really like this monthly balance comparison. So your controller could click in and see what's happening in this Atlanta market on a month-to-month comparison basis. You know, you could set this up for really any interval that you like. but this really gives you the visibility into your close process without having to export a TB and consolidate these all in Excel. And so I realized that was a very high level summary of what was going on in BlackLine. So if you have any additional areas that you'd like us to drill into with you, we could absolutely do a separate demo more specific to your own interests and concerns. So I will turn it back over to Alex.
Thank you, Susan. Let me get to this. All right. That leads us to our next question, our next, last but not least, our last polling question. Would you like us to contact you to get more information about BlackLine? Obviously, yes, please. Maybe later, I need to think about it. And then obviously the last is no thanks. While we're going through and answering that question, we did have several questions that come in through the Q&A, which I want to go through and talk about, which I think are very actually key, good questions. One user asks, or one attendee asks, is the dashboard updated real time? And I think the answer to that is yes. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that we want to make sure that everyone understands, that when we're moving to a continuous automated process, is that BlackLine is always, it sits in between your reporting and your ERP system. And so it is continuously feeding updated information. So your dashboards are updated at all times. The next question we had are system certified reconciliations widely accepted by external auditors as SOX controls, or do you need additional tiles for approvals? One thing that we didn't show you there, or you did, I'm not sure if you picked up on, but there is a reconciliation kind of dashboard where it shows the preparer and reviewer sign off. So you do have a little box in there where you can check to say signed off as reviewer, signed off as preparer. So you do have that particular, it does serve from a SOX compliance standpoint. We use this actually in some of our large public filers who use this as their sign off. Next question we had is, how well does BlackLine work with consolidated entities? Is it user-friendly or for subsidiary accounting at the consolidated process? Again, obviously, as we talked about, as the slide showed earlier in our demonstration, it sits between your ERP system. So it's going to work just like your ERP, as well as your ERP system. It is user-friendly. You saw the various roles that every individual can have. The BlackLine will have access to the same amount of data that's in your subsidiary. So if you have multiple subsidiaries, you will be able to see that, have visibility to do multiple reconciliations, multiple tasks, multiple journal entry, multiple matching at the subsidiary level and at the global consolidated level. And you will notice that the roles that individuals have can go from review to approval all the way up to executive. Next question I think we have is, are the reconciliation templates customizable so we can make them look and feel like the ones staff currently use? Michelle, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you answer that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So while we have 9 templates out of the box, they're all customizable. And in fact, you can create your own templates from the various types of controls and attributes that you need for your organization based off of your organization policies and procedures. Visibility is key with flexibility. So keep that in mind, because yes, you can absolutely customize those templates with the integration factor of the other solutions as well.
Got it. Thank you, Michelle. And then our next question is, which I think kind of alludes into or plays into what Michelle responds, is there a monthly template for allocation of overhead costs? Again, as Michelle alluded to, we can assist you with developing out a customizable template. Obviously, with Cherry Bekaert, we have best practice templates, especially for overhead costs. Think about it, overhead costs, inventory costs, and some of those are unique in situations. So we can help develop out what is a best practice template look like. And then obviously you can then take that template and put it into the customizable format into BlackLine to help serve that purpose. Next question is, can outsourced accounting firms use this for multiple clients? I'm going to, again, Michelle, I'm going to let you answer that question if you don't mind.
Absolutely. And in fact, that's a common practice. Yes, because the way BlackLine as a SaaS a solution is set up is it can be set up with the organizational structure to be able to provide accounting services and processing to other clients as well. So think of it as a way of processing by factor, regardless of ERP or system that those other clients might have.
Thank you. Next question we have is, does it have an inventory system as well as the ability to do sales order versus invoicing? Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Susan. I don't think the BlackLine has a sales order invoicing process, but correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Not yet.
And then last but not least, I've got one more question. I want to make sure we're addressing everyone's questions. Can you have your financial reports generated through BlackLine? I'm assuming what you're asking is, can we generate a balance sheet, income statement, your typical four-print standard financial statements? And Michelle, if you don't mind, I want to pass it over to you.
So I just want to be clear. The question is, again, is there the ability to create financial statements? Is that the question?
Yeah, can you generate the financials? Can you generate your balance sheet? Can you generate your income statement through BlackLine?
Yeah. So you're able to generate the trial balance at this current moment from the actual solution itself, and you can identify those financial categories. Coming up soon within the next year is a way for that financial reporting aspect to come through. That's a new solution that'll be provided that was actually introduced at just our previous conference a week ago. And that will allow for that grouping mechanism either at the individual entity level and or at the consolidated level, whereby you might have multiple entities, multiple ERPs, and you need to be able to consolidate the information for a consolidated financial statement point of view, as well as for those variance analytics. Currently, though, you can still get that information, but it's not in one solution per se. It has to be pulled out by a report. So reports are available now to do it, but we'll have a more stealthy solution coming in 2023.
Got it. And the questions keep rolling in, guys. So thank you. We do have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to keep getting through as many as I can. Next question is, how much time does the average organization save by using a product line of BlackLine? If we all can answer them based on our own experience. One thing is I'll point to there, guys, if you recall, we talked about that 2.77 ROI, return on investment. Another way to think about that is that for every dollar I spend on BlackLine, I'm taking out $2.77 on FTE costs. So you think about that, we can start reducing the number of FTEs to the number of full-time employees we need to complete the month in and year end process. Susan and Michelle, any suggestions you guys have, just on your experience? How long does it take?
Yeah, so I'm going to add into that. I'm a previous customer of BlackLine as well, right? And I know that in implementing BlackLine, the major ROI that came forward was within all the time that the team was taking on the transaction level, matching and ticking and tying, exporting of data into spreadsheets. On average, our close was roughly about 9 days prior to BlackLine. And we were able to solidify and accelerate that month-end close down to 4 days. So if you think about that time differential for those 5 days, my team was now able to invest time in the deep dive analytics to really on what was wanted by the executive team, rather than ticking and tying and creating new spreadsheets. So it becomes kind of an accelerated exponential view, because as you pick up utilization of reconciliations, you then pick up being able to automate the underlying ticking and tying of transactions. And from there, the creation of journals. So it becomes a one-stop shop for that automation, right? That was my experience as a previous customer as well. Susan, did you have anything you want to add?
I think one of the big benefits for us was getting rid of all of the administrative tasks we had to do every month, with archiving work papers, archiving reconciliations, and setting up new checklists for each month end close, as well as audit processes, and just having all of that streamlined. I mean, I didn't get my CPA license because I like making checklists. So this was really a big change for us. and a big improvement.
Good, thank you. I know we're a minute over, but we have one more question I want to get. I want to make sure we're addressing all the attendees' questions because we're here for you. The last but not least is, does BlackLine comparable to Hyperion? My answer to that is no. I think Hyperion is more of a reporting system. BlackLine is more of a what I call a consolidation, a month-end close process system. Would you have anything to add to that, Susan or Michelle?
So BlackLine is complementary to any system in the measure that Hyperion would be as well, right? But Hyperion is used traditionally for that consolidation level, whereas BlackLine is used for all of those activities that take place within the record to report process. So prior to consolidation, in being able to complete those activities where other systems traditionally create manual work. So it's aligned to a type of system like Hyperion, but it's a different functionality.
Well, guys, that ends our webinar today. We really appreciate everyone's time and opportunity. Thank you for all your questions and answers. For those in the last polling questions, we look for those who would like us to get in contact. We more likely will be reaching out to you. You have our contact information here, both Alex Wiley, Susan Edwards, Michelle Cortell. There are no other questions. Again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.